Hi gorgeous! So today I'm going to share with you my personal diet plan because to get the body of a goddess you need the diet of one as well. And I'm going to share the energetics behind it before I share how I actually execute the plan. And please don't mind my nail. I have one nail that came off, so I'm like, I probably shouldn't have said it, trying to hide my thumb. So I have the Pocahontas gift, and the Pocahontas gift is a term that I came up with, and it's the ability to sometimes see the energies, like literally see energies, and also be able to see the being that is the energy. I'm trying to find the right way to convey it and to turn it into English words. And also womb site. So at least that's how I'm translating it right now. And the ability to see like images and stuff, like my womb talks to me in images. And I cannot sing, but you know that song in Pocahontas where she's like, and you see all the colors of the wind. I feel like whoever got it right, I would like put it in here. So that's how it's able for me to kind of understand my ability. And if you look at a woman's velvet place, well, there is a fragrance that comes out of it, and it's an energetic fragrance. And the question is like, what does this energetic fragrance need to stabilize? So I'm going to put the Victoria's Secret logo up here on the screen as I talk, just that way it kind of gives you something to look at. So if you can still kind of say in the same theme of Victoria's Secret, you know, maybe your fragrance is bombshell, maybe your fragrance is pure romance, maybe your fragrance is pure seduction, maybe your fragrance is love spell, maybe your fragrance is aqua kiss, maybe your fragrance is heavenly perfume Artis. And then there's variations, right? So maybe a woman's fragrance is like bombshell was the #1 selling perfume at Victoria's Secret. So with that, there's different variations, some of which have been discontinued. So maybe your fragrance that you have is Bombshell Luxe. Maybe your fragrance is Bombshell Wildflower, right? So depending on what fragrance you are, like for example, if you're Bombshell Wildflower, like that fragrance doesn't even exist anymore. So that's exceptionally rare. The same thing, perhaps your Bombshell Dream Angels, right? Which it was just a perfume yet to be created, right? And so if you think about I usually say like our womb is a flower, but our entire body is a flower, right? The body produces a fragrance, right? Your womb produces a fragrance. So again, if you look at the V Victoria's Secret, the V represents the velvet place, and we'll just say for all intents and purposes here that the S represents, you know, I hate to say the word scent, but but that's what we'll kind of say. So every woman's fragrance needs something different nutritionally. And And I know one of the questions is going to be is like, how can I find out my fragrances? I don't have an easy answer of that to give you, but I always say, like, it's really important, I put in the handbook as well, to always first know yourself, get to know, as long as getting to know your body, first get to know your fragrance. And if there's a way, as long as we could get to know our fragrance first, I think that would change everything. But get to know your fragrance. Well, what's your fragrance? Well, your fragrance is the energy field of your body, right? Or if you want to look into the physics of it, I'm pretty sure it's the electricity, the resonance that our body, I don't want to say our bodies creates, because we're just like there's a Victoria's Secret fantasy bra, we're living it in our own fantasy body. But your fragrance is going to need different things nutritionally, depending on how old you are, depending just on different phases and areas of your life. So that is some of the energetics of it. Oh, and one last thing before I go into more of the anatomy and like how I execute on it. So one thing that I was able to see within myself, and this is extremely vulnerable to share, is that if I did not eat tons of protein, which the diet that I've cultivated and created I call the Wineglass diet, because I eat Wineglass cupfuls of protein for it. If I didn't eat lots of protein, the S would literally crawl on the ground. Like it would fall. It wouldn't be able to be upright anymore, and it would just crawl on the ground. Almost like a serpent, which I know is extremely hard to believe. So if you use the metaphor of the Garden of Eden, and it's saying that the serpent is going to crawl on the ground, it literally is like when I eat unhealthy foods, the frequency can no longer be upright, and it crawls on the ground. Now I relate to my scent like Thumbelina, like if you remember the story of Thumbelina, instead of saying, oh, it's a serpent, I relate to the S of Thumbelina and like, oh, it's my little sparkle point. But so the whole serpent thing. But yeah, so but here's the kind of contingency, and please don't jump too far in the contingency plan, because it's easy to overdo this. When I get too deep into womb healing, not too deep, when I do a lot of like sometimes womb healing takes you deep. So anytime you're doing a lot of womb healing, journaling, whatnot, you're going to need fast energy. And so fast energy are going to be greasy foods. And I remember Kara Singh and I were laughing once on a podcast, because we're like, yeah, when you're doing womb healing, you can you can do like basically have this eat fast food and lose weight, right? So that works for a short time, doesn't work for a long time, and I have the curves to prove that theory does not work for a long time because the sodium and things and all that jazz. Okay, so now we're gonna go more into, so that's the only exception. The only exception is when I'm doing a ton of healing work, then I normally do need a lot of fast food. And also on my period. When I'm on my period, I tend to eat healthy versions of salty and sweet foods and a lot of fish, other than my traditional diet. So what is my diet? How do I create it? Well, I have a bachelor's in exercise science, and so after college for quite a few years, I would train people, go to their houses. Later I became a bodybuilder, and there's something in college that I learned called the Harris-Benedict equation, and basically you put you can find out how many calories a person needs. Okay, so my phone said low battery, so I just plugged it in. And also, on the theme of this video, Instacart just delivered my groceries. And so I have my meal prep going right now. And I made these chicken thighs, which we're about to get to the meat portion in a minute. But I made these chicken thighs, and normally I either will like use a knife and slit the chicken thigh and then put bacon inside of it, season it, cook it, and then about like the last 10 15 minutes from it being done, I'll take out the chicken thighs and I'll drizzle honey on top. This time I'm doing something where I slit the chicken thighs and I pour hot sauce. I poured Frank hot sauce inside the slits that when it cook with the hot sauce inside, and then sometimes I cover it in Parmesan cheese. This time I covered it with like heapings of seasoning. So since I did that, if I sound a little bit different, start sneezing, it's because of all the pepper to cook my food. So that's why that's that little thing in the middle. But this is just me sharing with you what I eat. What I eat, what I do. Do what works for you. You know, work with a doctor, work with a nutritionist, do what works for you. It ended up not being executionable, especially over the long term like this. And I actually ended up developing an eating disorder in my bodybuilding kind of side of things. And I needed a healthier way to have a healthy relationship with my body. And so one thing that I noticed, because whenever I took on a client to initially track her food and I could just see what she was eating, you know, and I think MyFitnessPal and stuff is great to give you pictures, especially over the short term type of things. I then went to do is was like, well, what's the one shift? What is the one shift that would, you know, make the biggest difference? And the one shift is that everyone that tracked their food, especially if they are a woman, they were always short on protein. Always short a significant amount on protein. Not just like a little bit, by a landslide. And so I was like, well, wait, before I look at my clients, I need to look at myself. So I looked at myself, and, you know, even as a trainer, had gone on and off with things. I'm like, wait a minute, let me improve my protein. And so I did this thing where I just ate protein for 5 days. And then I did another thing where I just ate just protein for 21 days. I thought I was going to go crazy. I thought I was going to go mad. I was like, oh my gosh. Because it was hard. It was hard just doing the protein. And people were telling me, like, no, don't do it. I remember, you know, I worked in a health facility at the time, and I remember my boss telling me, like, this is horrible for your kidneys. Like, this is like, definitely don't do it, you know? And, but my body was feeling better. It was feeling better. So I was like, let me just keep on doing it. And oh my goodness, the fastest shift in my metabolism blew my mind. It blew my mind. What happened in 5 days, it blew my mind. What happened in 21 days. It's like, to this day, if I need to do something to boost my metabolism, lose weight fast, just 5 days of just protein or 21 days of just only protein, start my kettlebell weights, my transformation's like that. That's best math. That's not. But it's literally like that. It's unbelievable. And so my clients that I trained were like, okay, you're a trainer, you always look great, but like, what are you doing? Because you're looking next level. I told them, and then they wanted to do it too. So I had like 10 people hop on to do it.